With Derrida, you can hardly misread him, because he's so obscure. Every time you say, he says so and so, he always says, you misunderstood me. But if you try to figure out the correct interpretation, then that's not so easy. I once said this to Michel Foucault, who was more hostile to Derrida even than I am, and Foucault said that Derrida practiced the method of obscurantism terrorism of obscurantism. We were speaking French. And I said, what the hell do you mean by that? And he said, he writes so obscurely you can't tell what he's saying. That's the obscurantism part, and then when you criticize him, he can always say, you didn't understand me, you're an idiot. That's the terrorism part. And I like that. So I wrote an article about Derrida. I asked Michel if it was okay if I quoted that passage, and he said yes. Moods are not to be confused with emotions. Moods will dispose you to having an emotion. Certain moods you're more likely to get angry than others, as we all know, but emotion is not the same as mood. Emotions, I think, always have to do with agitated forms of desire. Whenever you're in an emotional state, you have some sort of agitated desire. So, emotions are fairly special. I am not always in some sort of emotional state or other, but I think I am always in some mood or other. Nowadays nobody bothers, and it is considered in slightly bad taste to even raise the question of God's existence. Matters of religion are like matters of sexual preference, they are not discussed in public, and even the abstract questions are discussed only by bores. Prediction and explanation are exactly symmetrical. Explanations are, in effect, predictions about what has happened, predictions are explanations about what's going to happen. One of the many marks of a philosophical sensibility is an obsession with problems which most sane people regard as not worth bothering about. It seemed to a number of philosophers of language, myself included, that we should attempt to achieve a unification of Chomsky's syntax, with the results of the researches that were going on in semantics and pragmatics. I believe that this effort has proven to be a failure. Though Chomsky did indeed revolutionize the subject of linguistics, it is not at all clear, at the end of the century, what the solid results of this revolution are. As far as I can tell, there is not a single rule of syntax that all, or even most, competent linguists are prepared to agree is a rule. The best objects to think with are words, because that is part of what words are for. Indeed, it is a condition for something to be a word that it be thinkable. But could something think, understand, and so on solely in virtue of being a computer with the right sort of program? Could instantiating a program, the right program of course, by itself be a sufficient condition of understanding? This I think is the right question to ask, though it is usually confused with one or more of the earlier questions, and the answer to it is no. Any intentional state only functions, that is, it only determines conditions of satisfaction, against a set of background abilities, dispositions, and capacities that are not part of the intentional content and could not be included as part of the content. When I come home from work and my dog rushes out to greet me, wagging his tail and jumping up and down, why exactly is it that I am so confident that he is conscious and indeed that there is a specific content to his consciousness? He is happy to see me. The usual answer given to this question is that because his behavior is so much like that of a happy person, I can infer that he is a happy dog. But that seems to me a mistaken argument. To begin with, happy people do not in general wag their tails and try to lick my hands. Furthermore, and more importantly, someone might easily build a robot dog that would wag its tail and jump up and down without having any inner feelings whatever. What is so special about the real dog? I think the answer is that the basis on which I am confident that my dog is conscious and has a specific content to his consciousness is not simply that his behavior is appropriate, but that I can see that the causal underpinnings